Berkeley campus is a very lonely place. There's so many students and so many people who don't really have a friend at all. The alienation present in Berkeley is the cause of a lot of the sexual freedom, and you might take off for Berkeley to find the answers to life or something. When you divorce yourself from your past, you know, your parents, you leave behind your standards. Here you are, free from those values, because no one's here to check up on you, and it's kind of the accepted thing to sleep around or do whatever you feel like. And I think a lot of people come here and they think, I'm free now, and I can do whatever I want to, and you see signs painted on little Volkswagen vans, sleep with someone you love, and people are looking for love. People are really looking for an end to their loneliness, and a lot of them go to sex to find it.
I would say for the girls in my nursing class, who I know well enough to talk about this, think that the new freedom to live openly with the boy you're not married to and have sexual relationships with him, and to be free of the fear of pregnancy because of the pill, they think it's one of the greatest things that have ever happened.
We feel there's been quite enough emphasis in our culture over the past 2,000 years on the dark, terrifying possibilities of sex. We've heard quite enough, thank you, about its terrors and its tyranny, about the disease and wrecked lives and tortured souls. All these centuries, almost everything the church has had to say about unmarried sex has been one thing: don't. And that just isn't enough anymore. People won't settle for that.
The church has been very negative in the motivation that they've offered kids. They say, well, you're going to get struck with lightning if you do this or something. And it's the fear motivation, and it's been psychologically proven that the fear motivation is probably the poorest kind of motivation, because you still have the forbidden fruit there in front of the person. And you're saying, don't touch it. And of course, you know, human nature wants that forbidden fruit.
The church in its teaching has dealt with sex largely in the negative way. That is, it says that sex is dirty. Sex is something to be shunned as far as discussion. I don't think you can find any place in the Bible the idea that sex is dirty.
I think to the younger generation of college students who are being taught to question all preconceived values, the idea that the human mind and spirit is good, but the human body is evil, just doesn't make sense.
For example, in 1 Corinthians, Paul says, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Now, I've heard that used in very frightening ways. The idea that, you know, it's best not for a man to touch a woman. It strikes me as being rather difficult in some ways and unrealistic.
We've seen it as our mission at Playboy to let some light and fresh air into this dark and frightening corner of life. We've seen it as our mission to remind people that sex can and ought to be fun, that it is a legitimate part of human experience, that it can be happy, joyous, lighthearted, and pleasurable. Not only that, but it ought to be.